You're watching Fox 45 Morning News. All local, all morning.
53% of recent college grads are unemployed or underemployed, all while 3.5 million U.S. jobs remain unfilled. So why can't those grads fill the vacant jobs? Well, because they don't have the skill set those companies need. That is according to our next guest, author and education and youth unemployment expert, Nicholas Wyman. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
All right, so you wrote a book about this, how to be successful by developing the skills that companies actually need. Are college graduates not learning that?
Well, it sounds pretty simple, doesn't it?
It does.
But we've got this labour market mismatch going on. So I call it people without jobs and jobs without people.
Okay.
But what's really going on here is that the world economies are changing. And so we've got this globalisation and technological change. And employers are having to react to these market changes. And our education systems are just not producing people with the skills that companies actually need.
What are the skill sets that are most in need?
Well, I think these are skills where, you know, people are able to work with other people, work with groups, and have real-world, what I call real-world frontline experience. So there's all sorts of interesting ways that people can develop those skills, and not necessarily four-year college.
Like what? Because a lot of people who just paid for four-year colleges are...
Well, it's all hope is not lost. There's all sorts of alternatives.
Okay.
There's certifications, there's apprenticeships, and apprenticeships are really interesting because you can actually earn while you learn, which is a really interesting way to develop. And if you look at what an apprentice can actually earn, once you're qualified, you earn about $50,000 as a starting wage, and over a lifetime you earn $300,000 more than a peer. And the chances of remaining employed are pretty high. It's about 87% of people who finish an apprenticeship actually remain in work.
That is so much better than college grads who are wondering where I'm going to find a job. Well, how do you find those programs, the apprenticeship programs, and the alternatives to college?
Well, look, I really think it is about this learning by doing, and it's not for just young people. People at all stages in their life can get into an apprenticeship, and an apprenticeship is certainly not just building and construction and culinary arts. It's really moving into medical technology and engineering. So you see in countries like Switzerland and Germany where people actually transition between the vocational sector and the higher education sector. So there's nothing wrong with four-year college. But what I would say is if you're going to four-year college, know what your end goal is and know what the employment prospects are.
Now, in your book, do you kind of walk people through this process and explain all of this to them?
It's a how-to book. I'm a practical kind of guy, and I really wanted to, you know, look at some solutions for people because with the skills gap, there's a lot of information out there about the doom and gloom of what's wrong. This book's very simple about how to, and it gives people, you know, a way to navigate their way through this really complicated area.
I hear you say college is still an option, but do you think it's a fading option?
I think that employers are changing the way they employ people. If you look at Google, for instance, about 30% of new hires don't have four-year college degree. So I think employers are looking to upskill people on the job, and I also think it's really important, no matter where you are in your working life, to continue to brush up and reboot your skills. So there's all sorts of opportunities for people at any stage to skill up. And
when you say upskill on the job, I mean they're going to teach you what they want you to know on the job, those specific companies?
I think it's critical to have these skills in parallel. So you've got the skills that the employer needs, but you're also constantly developing these soft skills, you know, communication, how to relate to other people, and also really understand, you know, what's going on in the global environment's critical in this day and age.
And so what's your advice for people who are the college grads now that are looking for the jobs?
Well, I hear a lot of college grads who have part-time work. I'd say if you've got part-time work, try and make sure that work is actually related to the industry which you want to work in, because you've really got to build up your resume. So when you're sitting in front of an employer, you can say, I've got some frontline experience, some practical experience.
Makes a lot of sense. Very interesting. Thank you so much for coming in.
It's been an absolute
it.
pleasure this morning.